everybody. Thanks for joining me. So today is the follow-up to the when the scapegoat confronts when the scapegoat stands up to a narcissist. And so really, my situation is unique, and I think there's kind of two situations to expect here. Is what's unique about my situation is the narcissist I'm standing up for is in collapse, and what that means is a narcissist in collapse is a narcissist that is losing their supply. And the thing about my narcissistic mother is she's old. She's like in her 70s. And she has done her narcissistic abuse on everyone in her life, since she was, I don't know when she started doing this. I think from the story she tells is when she's probably, like a teenager. So she has completely alienated herself from everyone. I think she has like one friend. So anyway, essentially all the people in the narcissist's life serve for their supply. So when you say a narcissist is in collapse, it means the supply is dwindling. And that is when you confront a narcissist, that's probably when it's the most dangerous. And so for my case, being the scapegoat for my entire life, I was her main supply because I have a ton of energy. That's just one thing about me. I'm very energetic, and my narcissist mother just loved it because it was so much supply and energy for her. So this is the only narcissist I've ever stood up to in my life. I've kind of like walked away from narcissistic relationships, but I've never confronted them directly. So this is the only experience I have with that. So after, you confront a narcissist and you call them out, basically what they're going to do is just play the victim and then try to spin it and make you feel guilty. And that's exactly what my mother did. So the trick that I pulled on her was blocking all communication with her through her little lapdog enabler, my dad. And so that made her so mad. And so this is what you can expect. She went nuclear, man. And what they do is they poison every relationship that they have access to in your life. So she immediately went after my brother and basically just sold him the story on how terrible I am and how I'm the worst person in the world. And then she went after my dad and turned him, he's like, I'd say right now he's probably 80-20, like 80% he hates me, 20% he likes me, because I got married and had 2 kids. And so he has 2 beautiful grandchildren that, he basically ignores. But he romanticizes the idea of having a happy, healthy family. But you can never have that with a narcissist involved. So he's on the fence. And since he's the only person that the narcissist can influence to then communicate with me, she works on him like day in and day out. And the biggest thing, and this happened recently, he calls me up in the morning and is like, hey, we gotta have a talk, and basically says, because I'm not talking to my narcissistic abusive mother, that it's making him die. So he's gonna die because I won't talk to my mother, and I don't love her enough. And so she whipped him up, because I can always tell when it's her words. So she whipped him up, and it was basically like, yeah, you're killing me, and if you don't, the whole thing was like, you need to have long conversations with her. We need to sit down and talk about this. It's going to take many sit downs and meetings, and you need to demonstrate that you can show her love. And I'm like, dude, I love her, but don't you remember the conversation we had? I said, if she can't treat me and my family with just basic respect, then we can't communicate with her. It's too destructive. And, of course, he conveniently forgot that, because she just, what the narcissists do is they are master storytellers, and they're masters at manipulating people emotionally. So she works on him. He goes to work and then comes home, and then she's on him until he goes to sleep. So the power of that consistency, so obviously he forgot any conversation we had in the past, and is like, yeah, you need to love your mother, or they want to kick us out, you need to leave, which we have nowhere to live. This is like the only place we have, and you're killing me. You're gonna give me a heart attack or something. And so, that's what you can expect from these narcissists, is they will poison any relationship that you have. My brother, boom, he's done. He won't even talk to me. Doesn't want to come over and see his nieces. He thinks, I'm terrible. My narcissistic mother and him have hatched this plan where they think, they're going to make all this money on their property, and they're like completely delusional. And so, he's all, he comes over and helps them a little bit because they're going to, give them their property when they die or something. I'm not going to get anything. I don't even care, man. I just want them to have a normal, healthy retirement and just, keep to themselves and be happy and healthy and live a good life in their older years. That's what I want. But, my mother is bent on not doing that and still affecting other people's lives as much as he can. So as far as a narcissist in collapse, I think they're more apt to behave a little crazier because they don't have as much supply. I think if you were confronting a narcissist that has other supply, and you're basically cutting them off, let's say you just completely 86 them, they'll just go to another supply, because a narcissist, they're not going to waste their time working on you if you're not going to give them supply and they have it somewhere else. So in my case, my mother doesn't have any supply, and so she's trying all she can. So she's completely destroyed the two relationships, my brother and my dad. She then gets on my aunt and uncle, and they come visit, every couple of years, and she pitches the whole story to them. And you always know if they're under a narcissistic spell or if they're narcissists themselves, because they have no empathy. And I knew this immediately, that they were off the table, because my aunt came at my wife and I super hard about not loving my mom, and we're keeping the children from them, and this is terrible. And not once did they ask, what is your perspective? Because someone with empathy would understand there's two perspectives to every story. The narcissist is saying, everything's so terrible, she's the victim. But why would someone choose not to communicate with someone? I mean, that is, that's an intense situation. I wouldn't want to hear that. But she doesn't care. Didn't ask, doesn't care. Only took the narcissist side, and just tried to really guilt trip us. And the whole time they were visiting, they were like sleeping in the driveway in their crappy van. And my mom, this is her, she's walking along, she's so depressed, and it's so awful. And so she's really playing it up, man. That's how they are. They're masters of the story. Because telling stories is powerful, and if you can master that, man, you can really manipulate people. And so that's what she did. And my aunt and uncle, my uncle's like out to lunch. He's kind of like lost his hearing, and I think he's kind of going crazy. But my aunt is still with it, and she really guilt tripped me. And my wife was like, they are no longer welcome in our house. That's the last time I ever want to see them. And I was like, yeah, man, I agree. If they're not going to be respectful, you're done. Because at the end of the day, it's bad behavior. That's plain and simple to this whole thing with these people. It's just bad behavior. and society and individuals need to hold these people responsible, because bad behavior and really affecting people's lives in negative ways, we cannot tolerate. We can't tolerate that anymore, and that's on us to speak up about it. And then put those boundaries in place. If these people are going to behave that way, they're done. Cut them off. So my aunt and uncle are cut off, but whatever. They've always been really weird my whole life, so it's all good. And really the tactic lately that the narcissist does is the weirdest thing, man. With my wife, when she like has the kids and they're pulling in, because we live on their property in their guest house, and my wife will pull in the driveway. If my narcissistic mom is out there, she runs and hides, and it's really weird. Like, she runs and hides behind her car, and then she looks up. Another weird thing she does is if my daughter, the 6-year-old, is outside playing, there's like a little play structure, the narcissist will hide and then peek around the corner to, like, I don't know, not see her, not have to engage with her. I don't know. And then my daughter's like, I saw Grandma. She was doing that hiding thing again. And it's like, dude, why? That's so weird. So that's that strange delusion. And I think the narcissist, since I think she's just declared war on me, so she's going to do anything and everything to try to just, like I said, destroy any relationship, put guilt and blame and stress on other people, to basically make me out to be this bad person. And then whatever tactics she can come up with. But at the end of the day, a lot of these people aren't that smart, so I think you can kind of beat them at their own game. If you just give them enough rope, they'll just hang themselves. And she's done that. She has no more people, because she's just really destroyed any real relationship in her life that she's not, the only relationship she has is people that she's using, and it's pretty much my brother and my dad, and then like her one friend. So it's sad, and I have deep empathy, and I care, and I want the best for that person, but at the end of the day, it's got to be mutually respectful, and you cannot go around trying to destroy people's lives. Anyway, that is what you can expect when you stand up to a narcissist, and that's just some of what I'm experiencing. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.